This is a production of PBS Charlotte.
This week on Off the Record, a new affordable housing study reveals the median income to buy a home has skyrocketed. But how much is too much? And what's the city doing to help low-income families? Plus, teachers finally getting a raise after the state approves $53 billion in spending over 2 years. But is it enough? And CMS fighting back against school violence. Hear what parents and teachers had to say at the town hall meeting this week. Also, flight attendants picketing for better pay and more say. What to expect if you're traveling this holiday. And he's back. Cam Newton takes the city by storm at Sunday's Panthers game. How his comeback is already shaking things up. Lots to talk about next here on PBS Charlotte. From our PBS Charlotte studios in historic Plaza Midwood, I'm Sarah Colon Harris in for Jeff Sonnier, and we're off the record talking about the stories you've been talking about this week. And if you watch the news, read the news, and listen to the news, well, you'll recognize the names and faces around our virtual table. Danielle Shemtov with Axios Charlotte, Dedrick Russell, WBTV, Eli Portillo, UNC Charlotte Urban Institute. And you can also join the conversation. Just email your questions and comments to offtherecord@WTVI.org. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for being here. I want to go ahead and jump right in, talk about this new affordable housing study that came out this week. It says that the median income now to buy a home is just over $79,000. So that is up from what we've seen in the past. Danielle, you covered this. What else did it reveal?
Yeah, well, it's just another report showing basically more of the same picture, that things are getting harder for home buyers, especially people trying to buy their starter home, first time home. And unfortunately, it's just seeming to continue with no relief in sight. As you mentioned, the median income to afford, minimum income, that you need to afford the median priced house is $79,000. And even for a house in like the 10th percentile price wise, so even if you found like an absolute bargain, they're still saying it would require earning like $50,000 a year. So it's just really becoming more and more out of reach for a lot of people. Rent and home prices year over year increased by 16% about each, which is just crazy. I mean, in the past, it's been, 5-6% increases. It's certainly been steadily increasing, but these massive swings that we saw with COVID are really unprecedented.
Yeah, here it says only 35% of homes sold under $300,000 this year. Last year, 49% of homes sold for below that price. Dedrick, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I know, and I guess this study comes at a time when public and private partnerships are coming together to try to create more affordable housing. Just recently this week, I talked to the president of Bank of America Charlotte, and he is talking about what Bank of America is doing to help with this crisis, to try to give more money to allow people so they could have that white picket fence or be able to afford a home right here in Charlotte, North Carolina. So we see efforts that's happening all across. So it just cannot happen soon enough. So I guess when these reports come out, it just shows the urgency, how everybody has to kick in order for people to have a roof over top of their heads.
Yeah, we recently did a town hall here at the studios, and Julie Porter, who's the president of Dream Key, was saying that they're giving out $1 million a week to help people prevent eviction. They've already had about 21,000 applications so far this year. They haven't been able to meet all of the needs. So definitely a need out there. Eli, did you want to add anything to the study?
Yeah, I think, excuse me, one of the questions that a lot of people have had over the past few years is this going to be a bubble? Are we going to see these prices come down anytime soon? Is this going to be like 2008, 2009, where real estate prices just collapsed after running up so much? And Dr. Chu, the director of the Childress Klein Real Estate Center here at UNC Charlotte, the way he put it was, this is a durable, real price increase. This is underpinned by strong demand, and there's not a lot of supply. And he was really explicit in talking about the latest study this week that he does not expect real estate prices to collapse. Said explicitly, this is not a bubble. So I think that we are in a reality now where if people have been waiting for prices to come down they've been holding off, if they've been trying to time the market and find a better time to buy. We're in this long-term dynamic where that doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. So we're not dealing with a temporary problem. We're dealing with a real shift in the housing market that, we frankly haven't seen before.
Yeah, we're also going to have to come up with some more creative solutions to keep people in their homes. Also this week, the city approved a subsidy plan for low-income renters that want to get into housing. This would be developers would offer them a 30% subsidy. I think that would be helpful, but is that enough to keep people in their homes?
Yeah, I believe it was a subsidy to cover like the differential between what someone can afford to pay on 30% of the area median income, which I believe is around $25,000 a year for a family of four, and what they can afford to pay versus what the market rent of the units are. It's part of they've been taking this approach towards what's called NOAA's naturally occurring affordable housing, and it's been part of a shift from exclusively focusing on building new construction, which obviously takes a long time, and you can only build so many at once with the money that we have. And so they've been taking this approach of trying to preserve existing affordable housing. That's what NOAA stands for. It's naturally occurring affordable housing. And this is one of those efforts. They're trying to give the money to these existing landlords that own these buildings. It might be a little bit more affordable, might be a little older. They do have to keep them up. There are certain requirements with the project because obviously you don't want landlords that don't make improvements. That's obviously another issue around affordable housing. But I think it's just one of these efforts they're trying to get into around not only building new units, but also trying to preserve what we have.
Yeah, this is definitely an issue that's going to stay around, that we're going to be talking a lot more about over the next year, I can see. But I also want to talk about the budget. Governor Cooper signed a bill into law this week, $53 billion in spending over the next 2 years. First time we've had a budget in 3 years. That means teachers finally get paid, which is hard to believe that a lot of teachers haven't had a raise, or an increase rather, in 3 years, considering the housing market, considering the pandemic. Dedrick, did you hear from teachers on is this enough? It's 5% over 2 years, a 5% increase.
Well, I talked to the leader of the teachers organization, and I guess some teachers, they're not all happy, you know what I mean? Because even though it's a 5% increase, but that 5% it's split up. So we're talking about maybe this year you get a 1.3% raise. And then also, for teachers here in Mecklenburg County, they are not really jumping for joy because the politicians decided that the extra $100 million that they have, that they're dividing up between all teachers. Well, guess what? 5 teachers who work in 5 school districts here in North Carolina will not see a dime of that extra money. Politicians believe that those teachers who work in what they call well-to-do counties, they think that those politicians will be able to make up the difference and will be able to help supplement the pay. But the leader of the teachers organization said that her grandfather told her that one entity can't count another entity's coins. So the politicians cannot count Mecklenburg County's coins and thinking that Mecklenburg County will give those extra coins to the teachers. So therefore, we're talking about teachers in Mecklenburg County, Wake, Durham, Guilford, and Buncombe. They will not see a dime of that extra $100 million. And the teacher organization leader tells me that, with this pandemic, teachers were considered heroes. But now, in her words, she says now the heroes now are back to getting crumbs. So it's just, it just sends, what type of message? Elise Dashew, the chair of the CMS school board, and she is concerned that this move will make teachers feel undervalued, and they may just leave CMS because if they don't get the support that they are looking for from their politicians, then what more can they do? And one more thing, she said that teachers will have the last say because teachers vote. And so they are pushing that, you find state lawmakers and politicians who are going to support public education. And when you support public education, you got to support your teachers.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the bonuses included in this are about $2,800. They're also paying custodians at least $15 an hour to start, and most state employees are also getting 5% raises and bonuses. Eli, there's also some money in there for transportation. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, and of course, I have to have the caveat that working for the university, I'm technically a state employee, so the budget is something that affects me personally, like many other state employees across North Carolina here. I recently wrote a story with the Charlotte Ledger for our Transit Time newsletter about the state's shortfall for transportation projects coming up. Right now, North Carolina's Department of Transportation has a $12 billion projected shortfall for future projects over the next 10 years. And that could really put a lot of projects, either push them back or cause them to be pared down, or even, have them be delayed indefinitely. So, the budget includes more money for infrastructure, for repairing, bridges, roads, all that sort of stuff that politicians like to talk about. But it does not include something that the governor sought for a while and that the Democrats here sought for a while, which was Medicaid expansion. So I think that is likely to continue to be a point of conflict going forward. One thing with the transportation projects is there's not enough money either coming from the federal infrastructure bill or in this budget to fill the state's shortfall. So we're going to continue wrestling with shortfalls in transportation for a long time. That's partially because the gas tax has not kept up with the increased costs and the greater needs of our state. It's been stable for decades, and cars are more fuel efficient, so they're driving less, using less gas, and drivers are paying less gas tax. And it's also because a lot of the road projects that we need and the transportation projects that we need are just a lot more expensive than laying down, 2 or 4 lane highway through the middle of, the countryside. A lot of our urban areas need the most transportation investment right now, and it's really expensive to acquire right of way and build in a city like Charlotte or in the Triangle. So I think transportation funding, yes, gets a boost here. Politicians will say, look, we're fixing some roads and bridges, but that's still a really a long-term need that I don't think we know exactly how we're going to meet in this state.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like there's a lot more work to do. Dedrick, I want to talk a little bit about the town hall this week that CMS Superintendent Winston held to talk about some of the school violence. Do you want to talk about what you were hearing from parents and teachers?
Yeah, it happened with the incidents that have been happening at Hopewell. Since the school year started, 15 guns have been found on campuses, 2 at Hopewell High School. So there was a packed crowd that showed up this week to talk about what can be done to try to make things better for our students. So, old ideas, maybe should we have clear backpacks, metal detectors, parents are asking for more security at the schools. And then, other parents are saying that, hey, it's just a few students who are causing or wreaking havoc in the classrooms, not the majority of the schools. So maybe we need to up mentorship programs and things like that to help those students, get through what they're going through. And then also there's going to be a new program called Titan Dad and Moms on a Mission. This was taken from Dads on the Move in Louisiana. Dads on Duty, in Louisiana, where parents are going to be patrolling the hallways. Parents are going to be keeping an eye on things at games and things like that. So the parents I talked to, that they felt encouraged after this town hall meeting. There was a little things that get a little tense between a school board member and one parent. So that did happen there at the town hall. But overall, parents are thinking that things will get better because we're talking about it. And school board member Ron DeCheek, who represents that area, says that this is going to be a multi-layered approach, that more town hall meetings will have to happen. And it's going to take everybody to chip in order to make everybody feel safe when they go to school to learn their ABCs.
Yeah, and it's good to know that they are doing town halls and they are trying to get feedback back from teachers and students. Eli, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I just think, placing this in the broader context of everything CMS has been through in the last few years, from superintendent shuffling to the sexual assault allegations and cases that have, impacted students, especially at Myers Park High School, the coronavirus shutdown, fights over masking, when to reopen. Enrollment is basically flat, and we're in the middle of, I think, a really extended, tough season for the school system here. It's one of the most important institutions from a broader perspective, both in terms of educating children and keeping Mecklenburg County economically competitive, keeping parents from wanting to jump the state line to, Fort Mill or Union County. And I just think as a community, we need to really pay attention to this, and more than just in a critical what's gone wrong at the schools this week point of view. I think we need to view this as a system that is going through a tough time and that needs community investment right now if we're going to all succeed.
Yeah, I don't think any parent wants to send their kid to school and not know what's going to happen. It's a scary thing. Dedrick, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I did. It's a good thing that you had, it was a packed house. So when you see, parents are concerned and they're showing up, that is a good thing. And also, I talked to parents and they say that Hopewell High School is a good school, and that Hopewell High, this is not unique to CMS or to Hopewell High School. What is happening here in CMS is happening across the country when it comes to violence and things like that. So they wanted to make sure that they get that out, that this is just not unique to Hopewell or to CMS, but they are just encouraged that when the announcement happened that the house was packed and full of parents. And when you have concerned parents, then I believe in covering education. When you have concerned parents, things are bound to get better sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. That's a great thing that the crowd was packed and people were engaged. That's always a great thing. I want to talk more about flight attendants. So Piedmont Airlines flight attendants held a rally Thursday. They were picketing outside of Charlotte Douglas International Airport. They're saying they're not getting paid enough. They get paid 45% less than American Airlines employees, and the Piedmont Airlines is owned by American Airlines. They say they're compensated 45% less. So what does that mean for us? Because travel is just around the corner. Does that mean there will be less flight attendants? Does that mean more cancellations and delays?
Yeah,
So
I guess the airline attendants, they are using their voice, right? I guess we were there at the picket, and one of the chants was "Pay us or chaos." Pay us or chaos, right? So I guess that they're saying that, hey, we need to get raised our pay, and I guess and Piedmont Airlines, they did send a statement to WTVI, and they did say that they appreciate what the attendants are doing, and they believe that they should get more. So I guess they will go back into contract negotiations in December. So they're saying that they're looking forward to that. But if flight attendants don't get what they want, will they strike? And if they strike, then we have to pack a lot of patience when go traveling for the Christmas and the holiday season. So we're just going to have to stay tuned, and we got to buckle up, right? Because it might be a bumpy ride. We might experience some turbulence, right?
I was waiting for that pack the patience line. That's a favorite every holiday season. Eli, did you want to add something?
Yeah, so Piedmont operates a lot of the American Eagle flights, basically the smaller planes, and airlines have long had this two-tier system where their mainline employees make a lot more than the regional carriers, even though when you buy a ticket, you're not buying a ticket that says Piedmont Airlines, you're just buying an American Airlines flight. So flight attendants are upset about that. We got a taste of the chaos that can come with disruptions in the last few months when Southwest had to cancel thousands of flights, and then American Airlines had to cancel thousands of flights. They both blamed weather and staff shortages and crews not being in the right place. That was before the huge holiday surge, which is projected to be one of the busiest holiday travel seasons on record as people get back from the coronavirus pandemic and get back to, holiday gatherings, things that they probably skipped last year. I think in the broader context, this is part of the labor power movement that you're seeing now. You've got striking workers at John Deere who have shut down farm equipment production. They just agreed to a new contract with 10% raises. The film and television production union that almost shut down all of Hollywood production a couple months ago, seeking better raises and working conditions. We're seeing more strikes, more threats of worker resignations than we have in a long time. And with the labor market as tight as it is and employers really feeling the heat, workers and unions right now feel that they have leverage they haven't had in a long time.
Mm-hmm. They're saying about 30,000 travelers are expected to fly in and out of Charlotte from Tuesday through Sunday. Danielle, did you want to add something?
Well, one thing too, I was going to say, they're also dealing with the same issues as every other airline employee, especially when it comes to, the masks. I mean, there's been so many reports of passenger violence towards flight attendants and all of these, altercations and arguments over masks, unfortunately. And so that's another factor, like you're having to do this extra part of your job that you didn't expect. And I think that's something that they've brought up in their strikes as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to talk a little bit about some fun stuff. Cam Newton is back. He played on Sunday, scored 2 touchdowns, and the city was on fire. So I don't know if people really understood how much, momentum he brings and the energy that he brings. But if they didn't, I think they know now. I think there were people maybe doubted it. But what do you think? Do you think that we're going to see more people filling the stadium now?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm a casual Panthers fan, and I had completely tuned out and checked out of this season. When Cam went back in, I ran for that remote and said, well, I got to watch this game now. So I think that there's probably a lot of people like me who are now interested again in the team. And, I think from the perspective of owner like David Tepper, at some point you've got to take a risk, and it's more exciting to, maybe big and have something really fun with someone like Cam Newton on the field than, play small ball and watch a quarterback like Sam Darnold has been. I was not tuning in for that, and I'm tuning in for Cam. So that's anecdotal, but that's my experience.
Yeah, and this Sunday he's playing against Washington, which is with Coach Ron Rivera, who is the one who brought him on. So I think that will be interesting to see how that goes. Dedrick?
Yeah, it's just like a double homecoming, right? Welcome back, Coach Rivera, and welcome back, Cam Newton. Cam Newton, when he was very connected to the community, right? Connected with young people. And so therefore he has that type of swag that people love. And so when you talk to we've already seen ticket prices go up because Cam is back. And, a lot of people say that when Cam is there, he brings the excitement back to the football field. But, but I'm feeling for the other quarterback, Darnold, so where was the excitement when I was playing on the field, right? So I wonder how he's feeling right now that everybody now that ticket prices are a little up and fans will pack the stands. So a lot of people are waiting for Cam Newton to take on the field, and they're probably also waiting to see what he's going to wear at the press conference, to see what type of hat, clothes, what he's going to wear. So he brings all of that on and off the field.
Yeah, he's always making some sort of fashion statement. I also saw too on social media where somebody had posted they had gone to I think it was like a Marshall's, and they had some Panthers merchandise on the racks, and they marked it up after Cam's return home was announced. So we'll see how that goes, right? We'll see how that cash floods into the city. But I also want to bring up one last thing. Dedrick, you got to talk to Stacey Abrams this week. She was in town. Funny thing is, I was sitting 2 rows in front of Dedrick. So as we were walking out, I was like, hey, Dedrick, how you doing? I'll see you on Friday. But I know you got to talk to her.
She's a historic figure, the first Black woman to be a gubernatorial nominee for a major party in any state. And so when I talked to her, she told me that her parents are the ones credited for her getting involved in the community. When she was on Saturdays, usually kids on Saturday mornings, they look at their cartoons and eat their favorite cereal. But her parents said, no, we're going out and we are volunteering in the community. And she started that at an early age. And her parents just instilled to her that she has to give back. And some of the things that she said there at the Ovens Auditorium, that failure is not fatal. So we should not think about that. And also she said that, if we work and it does not happen, then, all we have to do is just try. Get up every morning and just try to make things better. And if it did not happen, then that's okay, as long as you tried. So she is just encouraging leaders to step up and to serve the community. And it's not about you, but it's about the people. So she did some encouraging things. And she's an author. She has several books out. So she's doing it all. She's doing it all.
One thing too, Dedrick, she said, is that she has a book club with her siblings, which I thought was interesting.
Exactly. And
I don't know many people that have a book club with their siblings.
The question was asked, what would you tell your 15-year-old self? And I thought her answer was just great. She says, what I would tell my 15-year-old self is, he's not that cute, and I am cute. So that's good for any 15-year-old out there. You have a crush on somebody. Yeah. They ain't that cute.
He's not that cute.
One. You're the cute one.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. She got a good laugh out of that too.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining. We really appreciate your time. And if anyone wants to join the conversation at home, just email your questions to offtherecord@WTVI.org. Have a great holiday. We'll see you back here next time.
A production of PBS Charlotte.